Logan. I'm gonna guess it's probably a lot of friends that just literally drink. I don't know exactly. And they're
Okay, good evening, everyone. I don't know if you can hear me or not. My green light is on. Okay. So, good evening, everyone. It's July the 6th, 2026 at 6 p.m., and it's time to call the Franklin City Council meeting to order. Ms. Jones, roll call, please.
Mr. Austin?
present.
Mr. Shuck?
Here.
Ms. McGinnis?
Here.
Ms. Nelly?
Here.
Ms. Price? Mr. Prine? Mr. Taylor?
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Brian Reese, please.
All right, invite you to join me in prayer. Our Father, we come before you this evening. We thank you for the privilege again of being here in City Hall and just for this council to do the work that's before them. Thank you for the privilege it is. Thank you for all of those first responders that were on duty this last week and just for all the safety and care you provided through them. Thank you for their work. Be with the items on the agenda tonight as the city looks at the plan for the years ahead. Proverbs 16:9 says, "In their hearts humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps." So we pray your blessing upon the future of our city, and may you just direct with wisdom the right timing, the right decisions to make in the plan ahead. Thank you for this evening, and we ask your blessing on it. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I invite you to stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Nicely said.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated.
Thank you, Brian. Okay, is there any announcements, public comment that does not pertain to the agenda? Joe, I know you said, Joe Abbott, you said something at Board of Works. You might as well repeat while you're here at City Council, if you don't mind. So, pass that down.
All right, Joe Abbott. Almost said city council, but, you know. No, I just, and chief, you know, I know everybody done a great job and stuff like that. I'm more like just, I wish we could do something more locally, but we can't. We're held at the state level on fireworks. And what's passing around right now is some of the debris from the ordinance that was set up in the neighborhood. And with that falling down like that, it could have hit somebody, could have cracked the windshield. I had some of it land on my vehicle. And you notice I didn't say car, so vehicle come across. A little easier here. But just, if we can get together, maybe get with the state reps and stuff like that and see if we can make the ordinance a little bit, or the law a little bit stronger. And that'll help our ordinance and stuff like that for these fireworks that are being set off are not the ones you buy in a tent or right in the store. These are like, they sound like 50 cals, Kenny. You know, you hear boom, 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 steady. They're going off so loud, they're putting the street lights out, you know, and they're out for a few minutes and then they finally reset. The smoke on the street is actually blinding for vehicles, and you got kids with razors, electric razors that are running up and down on that. So I know in my neighborhood, the people that were setting them off were very, very respectful as far as cleaning everything up. There was nothing left behind the next day other than the residue that falls down into my yard, my pool, cleaning out all the paper and stuff from the filters and stuff like that, from the skimmer to the pump. You know, that's kind of like a pain in the butt right now. I'm more like venting than I am. But if there's something else we could do, I don't know what we can do, to be honest with you, other than if the state steps in. But I really don't have a lot of faith in that with everything else going on with the state. But it's not bad idea to make it known. Would like to see some changes. So that's all I got. But those are like rocks right there that you see that were falling.
Gotta check this out.
That's all I got. If anybody
Wonder
has
who
any
that was.
questions.
Still have it though.
Any questions for Joe? Thank you, Joe. I think we all agree.
I just wanted to say maybe as a solution, or maybe as a suggestion more than a solution. I know that we have went through and we've revised our city ordinance with the fireworks. And So we do have a new ordinance out for that, but I was maybe with the billing system, with, with us sitting out billing, maybe through the sewer or through the water, if we could maybe put a reminder out on their bills, like a couple of weeks before.
Yeah, 'cause that's one of the things, me and you talked about right
Yes.
there, because I know it's putting it
What the
onto
fines
Chevy's
would
back.
be, what the hours are, just as a reminder. I mean, I know that we're on Facebook. I know that we have flyers out, or, we try to make every means possible to contact people, to let people know what our ordinance are, but maybe if we just attached it to a billing,
Well, with that
like in
said-
June before.
With that said, Irene, I can tell you that next year we can do that.
Okay,
Ahead of time, we'll go ahead and make that commitment now to put the ordinance out. It wouldn't be, Indiana American Water wouldn't do that in their water bill, but we can do that in our sewer bills,
okay.
because we control that.
Okay, I think we should try that and see how that works, and maybe maybe that would ease up a little bit with our police department and with
One
some of the loud noise. I mean, just the loud. I know that people are going to set off fireworks, but there was some that were really, loud, really loud.
I think, Chief, did we not have the police last night was shutting people?
After you and I spoke, we hit your neighborhood, Aaron's, all the neighborhoods, but keep in mind, this stuff's going on all over town. And I just saw that a couple folks in Greenwood also posted, but then you got the other side of it, where you look at our ordinance, we're allowing fireworks from this time to this time all the way to July 9th. So just to be candid with you, for me, it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
I can't tell you what's legal, what's not, obviously, you basically have small borders there, those are right.
Yeah.
Where they come from, I don't know, can't answer that question.
Yeah.
We did police it, we did go up and shut some down last night in Norwood. I'm sure we'll be doing it again tonight and tomorrow night until everybody gets.
I do know, though, I do want to say this, down there where I'm from, or where I live, it did calm down and it did quiet up around 11 o'clock. I didn't notice so much, I did hear a couple of bottle rockets here and there, but I didn't hear the big loud ones that like shook the house or the ground, I didn't hear those after that, and that was 4th of July night. Now, last night, yeah, I did hear some, like, regular pop-offs. And I think we probably will hear some tonight, too. I agree with you, just because everything's on discount and it's being sold.
Yeah, buy one, get four.
Okay. Thank you, Joe.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks, JoJo.
All right. Is there any more announcements or public comments? Hearing none, we will close that and go to the consent agenda.
Move to approve the meeting minutes from June 15th City Council meeting as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, there isn't any old business. We'll go right into new business.
Move to read new business by title only.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to read by title only. All those in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, item number 1, under new business, approval of the City of Franklin 2026 Comprehensive Plan, HWC Engineering. Joanna, it says Rachel, but Rachel's not here.
Rachel's right there.
Oh, hi, Rachel.
Yeah. So for introduction purposes, we do have the 2026 Comprehensive Plan before you this evening. This will be a public hearing, and official action can be taken this evening. Plan Commission reviewed this and had their required public hearing on June 16th, and they have forwarded a favorable recommendation to adopt the comprehensive plan. And Rachel Christensen and Alec Porman from HWC will provide the presentation and more information.
Thank
Rachel,
you.
can I cut in real quick?
Yeah,
Now, at
absolutely.
the Plan Commission, you said something that was really nice to Miss Gray.
I have an update on this too.
Okay, good.
So for the rest of the council, first off, my name is Rachel Christensen. I'm a planning studio lead at HWC. In my past life, though, I worked as a planner for the town of Pendleton. which is where your attorney is formerly from.
Correct.
Her mother still lives in Pendleton. I still live in Pendleton. She was our grand marshal at our 4th of July parade. So
Yes, she was. Oh, that's awesome. And your neighbor's kids held up the sign says, "We love Mrs. Gray." So thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate
no,
that.
she's
Thank you.
wonderful. So no, we were super excited. And I think it's, when I was at Pendleton, we actually came and visited Franklin because we just thought you guys were doing such great things that we were hoping to learn from you and take some of those lessons back to Pendleton. And I was just tickled to be hired by the city of Franklin to help with your comprehensive plan update and actually get to work for you. So that was something that was really kind of neat for me. And then, of course, now getting to meet the younger Mrs. Gray, which don't tell her I said that, but it's just been fantastic. So thanks for having us tonight. Excited to talk to you a little bit about the process that we went through to get here tonight on your comprehensive plan. Like Joanna said, I have Alec Poorman here, and also Craig Ludeman is in the back. He is a business development manager for HWC and was a former mayor of Seymour. We're going to just do a brief project overview, what we did for community engagement. We're going to talk to you a little bit about your future land use map, and then just briefly go over vision and goals. If there is anything that you want us to slow down and tell you more about, we are absolutely happy to do that. And just don't hesitate to interrupt me as we go. So just a project overview, just what is a comprehensive plan in general. Some of you probably know, but even just for the audience, just to update everyone, it's a long-range guide for development, redevelopment, and community investment. I like to say it's almost like your welcome mat for your community, because people who live in Franklin, it's good to know what the vision is, but even people who are outside of Franklin that are looking to invest in Franklin can often look at your comprehensive plan that would be available online to see if their values and vision kind of line up with your values and vision, and if they want to locate here. So think businesses, think new families, things like that. Per Indiana law, there's 3 things that have to be included in a comprehensive plan. So objectives for future development, a statement of policy for land use development, and then a policy for the development of public ways, public lands, and public utilities. So thinking about your parks, your public facilities, things like that. This is the foundation for your city's zoning ordinance. So comprehensive plan kind of sets that vision and tone, and then your ordinances are kind of the law and how you build it as things progress and move forward. This is to be used by this body here, but also your Plan Commission, your Board of Zoning Appeals, other appointed leaders, builders and developers, property owners, your staff when making land use, transportation, utility, and other decisions. So it's an important piece, an important tool in your toolkit. What we do when we start working through the comprehensive planning process is we do kind of an overview of your community. We do an analysis of your population, where you've been, where you're going. We look at your public. What is the public wanting out of the city of Franklin? What things do they think are missing in the city of Franklin? And then we kind of pull all that together in your vision and look at the vision for the future. And then we try to take that vision and we have goals and objectives that go along with it. But I think the most important piece in this is having an action plan and knowing how to implement that action plan. So all of that has been kind of pulled together in this comprehensive plan document for you. So why now? Why would we update a comprehensive plan today? Your current comprehensive plan is from 2013. So if you think back to all of the things that have happened in over a decade, there's a lot of changes. We've had, COVID, we've had this housing market stuff that's, made housing prices vastly different than they were in 2013. There's a lot of things that you've done as a community since 2013. Just the progress that you've made from your last comp plan, it's really just a good time to update it. I think just as a best practice with a community that's like Franklin, that's growing and changing and meeting goals, looking at this every 5 to 10 years for an update is wise and kind of a best practice. Let's see what else. Why now? There's new challenges regarding development since the last comprehensive plan was adopted. There's different growth areas in the city. You guys have a big project, a transportation project that's been happening, so how is that impacting the community? You guys have limited opportunities for expansion or annexation. There might be this community to the north that is kind of keeping you from growing north, so, where do you want to grow? Let's see, what else? Communicate the community's expectations for future development and to ensure long-term fiscal health. There's been lots of changes with Senate Enrolled Act now, one from a couple years ago that are impacting finances for lots of communities across the state of Indiana. So, we kind of talked about that as we updated this comp plan. And then this is also a great way to engage the next group of community leaders. So, after this board, moves on, or after your staff transitions, how do we build that next leadership, those next leadership opportunities? And I think this was a really good way. We had some young people that were part of some of the community engagement process that we had, and it was good to see them at the table. We had quite a few phases that we went through on this. Generally, we start out with doing kind of a kickoff with your staff and understanding what are those key things that are important. We then move into public engagement and stakeholder involvement, which Alec will tell you a little bit more in detail on what we did with that. And once we have kind of that baseline information, we start developing those goals and objectives. And we were able to sit down with your staff every month and kind of talk through these chapters that you'll see in the comprehensive plan. And we'll say, okay, this is what we learned. These are the key things that are influencing these areas. And we started working through those goals and objectives. We finally, in our last meetings, talked about that implementation plan. And now we're here in this phase 9 doing plan adoption, which we started with the Plan Commission. And like Joanna said, we had a favorable recommendation from them for you to consider this for adoption. Tonight, yes, we're looking for, if you were prepared tonight to adopt the plan, that would be fantastic. And if we have any other public comment, we'll of course include anything that we hear tonight in that comprehensive plan. I'm going to pass it over to Alec now, and he'll tell you a little bit about the community engagement that we did for this plan.
Thank you, Rachel. Like Richard said, my name is Alec Poorman. I'm a project manager at HWC Engineering who's been assisting Rachel and staff throughout this process. Like she mentioned, this was not just Rachel and I and Joanna and Alex sitting in a room, by ourselves coming up with what you've seen here today. There was a very strong push for community engagement throughout this process. Some of the few highlights of that, we had a public workshop, certainly a lot of focus group meetings, where it was more of a, invitations for people who are really plugged into, certain themes or challenges or opportunities for the city's future. And online engagement, both a online survey and then an interactive map that both allowed residents to go on, kind of mark areas where maybe they saw for commercial use, or where they thought, a new trail, or where they saw kind of an issue intersection or a safety concern. But then it would also allow people to go on and see what other people have put on there, and then like or dislike that as well. So not only kind of seeing where people saw those challenges or opportunities, but also a general consensus on, hey, if this has 200 likes on this one intersection safety concern, then we know that that's probably going to be something that's big that everyone sees and deals with every day. Along with that, we have mobile display boards that were at the Franklin Library, the City Hall, the Active Learning Center that Joanna and her team kind of helped move around, just to provide a little more feedback so we could really extend the amount of time that we had these public facing, as well as a pop-up event at the Franklin Farmers Market early in this process, not only to get feedback from residents and business owners and things like that, but also just as kind of a marketing, right? That's long-range planning really isn't the most exciting thing to kind of get people behind it sometimes, but it's really a chance to let people know that, hey, like, your voice is heard right now, right? Anything that you're telling us here, anything in the survey that is in one way or another going to make its way into this plan at the end of the day, so you can have a piece in kind of planning Franklin's future. One thing not up here, but I guess 2 months ago now, there was the public presentation where probably 50-ish people or so were out for that, kind of gave feedback, looked at boards. Rachel had a presentation, and even input and feedback and comments we got from that actually did go in to make changes to the plan before what you see today. So, even in the late stretches, that public feedback is extremely important because it just helps us refine and slowly, tick down on what's really important for the community members. From those, early on, the survey and the farmers market and the kind of the workshops, certain emerging themes really came out throughout the process. Future development, growth management, certainly on the south side of Indy and Marion County, housing and affordability, parks and rec, arts and culture, transportation, daycare, really preserving what we have here in Franklin in the downtown historic neighborhoods. And then some of these, if you've read through the plan, kind of go into those topic chapters, right? We have one dedicated to kind of historic preservation and, sustainability or, the land use specifically. So another way that, what we heard throughout the process really went into making what the plan is. Now, while Rachel commented on, how this document is going to be used by not only, council members on commission, BZA, residents as well, right? This is a document that we want all of Franklin to really get behind and use in their day-to-day. While all of it should be used, goals and existing conditions, strategies, certainly the future land use map and accompanying future land use classifications are really the one of what the council and plan commission are going to be using whenever they have those zoning change requests or development comes before you, or when Joanna, Alex are filtering through everything that comes before them on a day-to-day. This is that kind of first step in seeing if it aligns with what Franklin wants to be and what our vision for the future is. Much of the future land use map that is within this plan either comes from what the existing future land use map was in the 2013 plan, current zoning, or just what the existing land use is today. The downtown neighborhoods, the subdivisions on the west side, the new industrial that we're kind of seeing on the east side, that is what it is today. That's what it's projected to be into the future. There are certainly situations when we are looking forward, especially up northeast side, potential the new interchange there on Early Wood, where it is something that kind of differs from what we see today. These plans are meant to be forward-thinking. They are meant to give you all, staff, plan commission, kind of the tools to make those decisions when they come before you. So if a development does come before the city, or if a large project, either infrastructure project, is out there, this is giving that guidance for those future decisions. However, one thing that we want to be cognizant of, and something that Lynn brought up in the Plan Commission meeting, is if your property is on this map and it is a different color from what it is today, this is not a zoning map. This is not in no way. We all know up here, but for the people listening at home, it is certainly not the city trying to force your hand and make you change what you are today. It is not trying to bring people and annex them in. If you have farmland and we want it to be farmland for the next 200 years, that is your prerogative. That is certainly something you can do. However, if we want to change that, if you decide to sell, if we want to, if a landowner wants to develop themselves and they want to change that inherent use of what it is today, this is in that tool that we can fall back on to help influence those decisions. Not only with the map, there are for all the categories that we saw up here, whether it be downtown, neighborhood activity center, traditional residential, they all have these accompanying tables that get into a little bit of description of what the land use is, maybe how it should relate to different land uses adjacent to it, hopefully avoiding, where we can, extreme intensity with the, rural estate or things like that. A little bit into infrastructure, some design features that we really need to be cognizant of when we're looking at these, and then some primary and secondary uses that, would be, intended for these different categories. Most of this comes from, like I said, the previous comprehensive plan, but also your current zoning ordinance as well. So this is not brand new from what you've been using or looking at over the past several years, just a more kind of refined, streamlined version within this document. Any questions on that before I move along? Nope. All right. For vision and goals, kind of like I said earlier, these were really topics that were both identified by staff and by the city, but also that came up repeatedly in community engagement. The land use, the infrastructure, and things like that. I have listed the vision and kind of goals up here. In the interest of time, won't read them verbatim for everyone. We'll be here for a little bit. But I do want to hit on just kind of, the main theme for each chapter and really the essence of what the plan tries to accomplish through the goals within each. So for land use, really this one was about identifying growth that strengthens Franklin's existing character, right? We don't want development growth just for the sake of it. Really, we want to focus on, when the developments do come before you or where, zoning requests do come before you, to make sure it fits what we have as a city, enhances that, but also leaves room for, what's next in the future, especially when it comes to the corridor on 65 and the existing kind of industrial and business parks that we have within the community. Transportation and infrastructure. This one is really focused on making sure that we are being fiscally sustainable and then proactive with our roads, sidewalks, utilities, other infrastructure, making sure that, we're not just building things to nowhere because there's the idea that once we build it, have to maintain that after. So just being really smart and where, land use are identified, getting out before those, or just ensuring that the level of service that we have today can be replicated when growth does occur in the future. For housing and neighborhoods, kind of the key thing here is that, yes, we want Franklin to be kind of that new regional location for, I'll say, diverse housing, whether it be for students looking to graduate from the college, parents transitioning to, an empty nest, or, grandparents and those in retirement age trying to downsize and move to a, smaller home, but still stay within the community. But we also want to make sure that we're strengthening and really supporting the established neighborhoods. Like Rachel and I will both say, a big part of what Franklin is because of the excellent job we've done in maintaining the downtown, maintaining that historic core neighborhoods that surround it, because it is a big part of the character and what people want to come here for. Economic development, it is going to be kind of strengthening the unique business and employment districts that we see throughout the city. Now, these are not certainly coined or anything, but there were a few that came up repeatedly in conversation that we kind of gave name to, and they all have kind of their unique little sets of goals and strategies behind them. Certainly the US 31 corridor, Commerce Parkway, and Drive is kind of one of those. The King Street Gateway, so kind of looking from where the interchange is to the west of there. Downtown Franklin, certainly. The east areas east of I-65, so either getting off and then traveling east from there. And then the general business resiliency, and then supporting our workforce as a whole. The goal 7 was something that kind of came in towards the end, and is the idea that we can strengthen economic development and attraction through the presence of arts and culture in Franklin. Arts, it's certainly something that is a placemaking, whether it be sculptures, whether it be crosswalks or things like that, murals on the sides of buildings. It's not only something that should be looked at as, well, this is pretty, this is nice, it's nice to look at when I'm out for a walk, but a real idea on how we can kind of strengthen the economic base and workforce base in Franklin through these initiatives. The final, environmental sustainability and resilience, yes. Couple floodplains in town. Certainly that's something that's going to repeatedly come up, either flood events or trying to preserve those areas where we can't really build in them. And then definitely the idea that we can preserve these areas but not have to necessarily build something on them, right? I know that throwing a park is easy at times for that area next to the river and a floodplain, but like I said, kind of a thing hurt about this process was, once we build it, got to start maintaining that after. So looking for the areas where we can kind of retain that natural environment, natural habitat, leave it open for public enjoyment, leave it open for, the flood control that it provides, but also not put undue stress on the city in the future.
I have a question real quick. Do we have a map of what this looked like in 2013? To compare what you guys put together here?
Oh, like the future land use map, you mean?
Well, no, I'm looking at this map here.
We have,
Future land, yeah, future land.
yeah,
Do we have one?
we can pull up our existing comp plan.
Okay.
It's online.
Thank you. Just curious.
No, I said we, as if I could do it. I cannot.
Go
Someone
ahead,
in
you
this
go.
room, either sitting back there or right there, can do that for you.
Bet your mom could.
And I bet she could too.
I do. Yeah, I was here, but I don't remember.
Yeah.
But I believe it's probably changed
Probably.
from what we're looking at for the future now.
Yes, and it has, and like I said, it's certainly areas around downtown, 31 corridor, that's been the same, for a decade or more at this point. Those areas really have not changed as far as what their future land uses are looking like, but
I mean, I can look at this one here, and it shows future growth on the east side, but I'm pretty sure in the past we talked about going west. So,
There we go. I thought it would change more, honestly, when I compared the two. Yep, but it hasn't really.
And what we did was we used it as a base. So we printed this version out, had it on a big map on a table, and with staff, we marked it up and made those revisions to it. And then, of course, presented it to the public to get feedback as well.
So there is the proposed. And that was the previous. Now you're asking me to do a lot of,
Well, if on,
you want to help her, Lynn?
no. Not if you guys want to get out of here before the soccer match. 8.
no, the answer is no, I can't do that.
Yeah, but that one is the existing one on there, and if you look on what we have here
Yeah.
is proposed, it's not all that.
I mean, it's close, and some other minor changes. There were a couple classifications, I think, in the 2013 that weren't used, were very minimal, or were kind of almost repetitive. There was an office, like kind of a mix between like an office and industrial that was just tossed into the light industrial because that made more sense. And Joanna and Alex both said that really wasn't a use anyway. That was seen too often. I think it was more the east side compared to the west, like in the previous plan, just because of the activity around 65 right now and that potential for the early wood interchange in the future.
It can be.
And I think that's just where kind of utilities, I mean, you certainly would know best, but certainly the trend for pushing utilities east instead of west over the past decade or two is that a little bit, just with the hurdles of the creeks and ditches and different kind of topography challenges we have going west.
Thank you, Alex, that's impressive.
That was very impressive. Alec and the Alex.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I think we are,
We have a public hearing, yes.
So the one thing I did want to add on the updated land use map is, if you can see on the east side, our proposed land use map stopped, which makes it very difficult if somebody comes in and requests annexation or rezoning, that we don't actually have a proposed land use map for that area with our current plan. So that is one of the reasons why the proposed map expands a little bit further. That way we can actually have something to look at and use as a reference on where we're looking at going. And Indiana code says, you know, you have to have a comprehensive plan in order to have zoning, specifically for those reasons. So it opens the door for us.
And that's, I think, a best practice that most communities are doing nowadays is they're looking beyond their jurisdiction, you know, a little bit to see. So in those instances where if there is an annexation, you do have some guidance on what that zoning, or what that zoning should look like when it does get annexed into your jurisdiction.
So what I'd like to do, if there's any more questions from the council now, let's go ahead and ask, and then we'll open it up for public comment, and then the council can certainly ask more questions after that. But is there any more questions at the moment? Okay, let's go ahead and open it up for a public hearing at this point. Is there any comments or questions, or certainly there's somebody with one?
I think as Joanna, I did want to note what Joanna pointed out at Plan Commission is there was a lot of public involvement in this one that there was not in the prior one, because we lived through both of them. And there were a lot of people engaged on the front end. That was good. We enjoyed that, didn't we, Joanna? I mean, it was nice to have them. Yeah, no one showed, and yeah. And we'd have we'd have public meetings and no one would be available, but they certainly were positively involved. It wasn't, they wanted to participate, and it was a nice feature.
Someone asked one more time. Does anybody want to get up and speak for public hearing? Okay, nobody's moving, so I will close public hearing at this time. Council, more questions, or it's your night?
Sir, ma'am, is it possible that you could maybe give me one or two examples that is on this new proposal that it wasn't on the last proposal, that is something you're proud of, something that stands out possibly, that maybe someone wouldn't think of, and it's something that you guys are proud of, and is there something that stands out? And if there's not, that's fine. It's not a trick question.
So for me, I don't know if it's necessarily in the document itself, but I think my takeaway on Franklin, you guys have been one of the best clients to work for. And it's not just, you know, Joanna and staff. It is just the way that your community shows up. Is really refreshing. You know, we're kind of in this era of, I go to a lot of public meetings and there's a lot of unhappy people that go to those meetings for various reasons. And to come to just like even your Plan Commission meeting, to have people come up and even you, sir, to come up, you know, you had an issue where there's all these fireworks and it was just done in such a pleasant way that, you know, there's a lot of collaboration. But I think you guys all have this goal of wanting what's best for Franklin, and the way that you talk to each other and communicate to each other, it's, I don't want to say unique, but it's not common everywhere. And so I would just applaud all of you for, I mean, I think that's leadership. I think that's your staff and the way that your staff treat the public. There's a lot of things that go into it, and it's not an easy thing to have, and that was kind of one of my takeaways. So even throughout the comprehensive planning process, we had like our stakeholder meetings, we invited people to the table, not me in particular, but you know, there was a list of people who were suggested for different topic areas, and the people that showed up, you could just tell how much they care and love for Franklin and wanted to make sure that their voice was heard to make sure that this continues going in a positive direction. So that's kind of more super impressive, and I wish I could just kind of duplicate you guys all over the state. So, Alec, did that give you time to think of something?
My notes. No, I think to answer your question, I think the economic development, let's see which one I'm on the left here, chapter is unique as far as comp plans go that certainly I've worked on. Just because, let me see, where's my buttons? Just because we don't often get a city that has very defined areas. And not just an area on an interstate or your downtown, but 5 very distinct, very different districts, if you want to call them that, that have a whole slew of opportunities and challenges are going to go with them. I think it was a little fun being able to set it up in this way where we weren't just broadly talking about, well, it'd be great if we could get more employers here in town. It'd be great if we could get more people working here. But really had a chance to kind of look at these places individually and say, okay, well, what makes, the areas from King Street West different from what we see on Commerce Drive, right? What makes them different from the challenges besides the J-turns on 31 that we're dealing with right now? I think farther than that, it's one thing that we kept bringing up through this process is that somewhere along the line, someone had the foresight to really protect things in Franklin. Whether it be the neighborhoods, whether it be a downtown that is probably larger than I'd say it'd be, any historic downtown that I've been in the state recently. And also the foresight to say, you know what, we have all these assets, let's really support staff and really support, monetarily the different people that we can help get things done in town. So I know, Dan and Chris aren't here right now, but you don't have a lot of communities that have the foresight to think, well, if we just kind of invest a little bit in staffing for, historic preservation or for community development, well, that really takes a load off what you do. That really takes a load off what, Joanna and Alex can get done and really can stretch a dollar so you're saving in the long run. And not a lot of communities do that. So that's really great to see because then it makes our job easier when we're sitting here thinking, well, who's actually going to implement these at the end of the day, right? I know, council doesn't have the time and the energy to get every single one of these things done, but when you put those steps in place and you have the staff and you have the capacity, you can really start getting things done within these plans. And that's extremely encouraging to see. And I wish that a lot of other places mimic that. Yeah.
Something that was really neat about this too, we put a kind of a flyer together for the comp plan. So that's another deliverable that we had. It's almost, we were calling it a cheat sheet or a Cliff's Notes version so that when you guys are all up here doing your job, it's something that you can refer back to. It has the vision and the goals listed in it, and then it has your future land use map. It might be something we start doing for other communities too, because it was just such a neat product. So that was maybe another piece that I think we were excited about.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Counselor, if I might, because I'd also forgot at Plan Commission, we talked, Alec touched on it. The comp plan isn't just a document that we stick on a shelf somewhere. We really need it and use it because I think we have, I know I'm a little prejudiced, but I think we have the most fantastic staff that are able to identify grants and money that is out there that bring it back. You all know as council members how many times we have matching funds that we've gotten from whether, all the other places that are out there. And one of the things they want to know that you have to have is a vibrant comp plan. And we take it, we use it, and then when we go ask for those matches, those millions of dollars that we have received, this helps us tremendously get that. And a lot of communities don't either have one or haven't had one updated for 25 years. So it really does pay for itself in the long run by having it.
Any other questions, comments?
Well, as I read through it, I was very impressed with the comp plan, but I was equally interested in the growth numbers because we always hear we don't want to grow too fast. Well, when you look at these numbers, I don't think we're growing too fast. I think we're growing at the right speed according to these numbers. A 2,050 would be at 31,000 plus, I believe. So the percent of increase is not over too much for us to handle, I don't believe, but.
And it's in accordance with the school's reports on their cohorts.
Correct.
In terms of,
Yes.
of course, it's a different demographic entirely.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not all school-age children, but yeah, the two match. They're
We
pretty
do get
consistent.
that question all the time or comment, we don't want to grow too fast, so
Yeah.
I don't see that with those numbers, so.
Can I make a comment to what Todd you said?
That's up to what we close the public hearing, but that's up to the mayor.
I'll open it back up one more time. You need to go to the mic.
Todd, I agree with you, because we went through a spell because I moved here in '97, January '97. So it's my 29th summer. And there was a lot of housing being built on the west side of 31, and the population was growing. Once that slowed down, then all of a sudden, the city concentrated on bringing business. Our businesses were growing, but we weren't building a lot of housing at that point. And it seems like now we're building housing to catch up to some of the it's almost like a balance that we're doing. You know, we're bringing housing in to support the business, or we're creating business, and now we need housing. The apartments that are going up in 31 right now next to NSK. One of the comments when I was sitting on the Plan Commission, they were talking about, great, because there's a lot of 49 on the license plates that are leaving there, you know, during the day. Some of the folks saying, oh, we heard there are going to be apartments up there. We're going to end up living there. So as our businesses grow, the current businesses that we have, people that live out of town are going to want to live here. So it's almost like we go through growth with business, then we build housing, that stables a little bit, and then the east side's going to be building up again because we know Sunbeam owns, how many hundreds of acres of property out there. So it's a nice little balance, but I agree with you, Todd. Our growth is very much planned, and it's a way that we can absorb without, you know, all of a sudden being lopsided on one side of the house. So that's my comment there, and thank you for giving me the time to.
So with,
As long as you don't bring more Patriots fans. That's it. Okay. All right.
so we did open it back up for public comment. I would give anybody else another opportunity if they chose before we close it again. So does anybody choose to speak again? If not, we're closing public comment for the last time.
About the Colts. Joe and I sat next to each other and argued about the Colts and Patriots for a long time, so had to get that one in. Yeah, you did.
So if there's no other comment from the council, I think would need to approve or not approve.
I move to approve the 2026 comprehensive plan.
Second.
Okay, and we have a motion and a second. Jennifer has a question.
Oh, sorry,
No, not a
Jennifer.
question. I just wanted to, I think last meeting I had said that we are in part of the Johnson County opioid, right? So I just want to share that the meeting, for presentations, if anybody wants to come and watch the people that are presenting, it is Monday, July 13th at 3:30 at the Johnson County Commissioner's Office
Okay,
for the
thank you.
patients.
Okay, so we do have a motion to approve.
We got a
Is that-
motion and a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a motion and a second to approve the comp plan.
And sir, just a technicality, but technically you're approving the resolution adopting the comp plan as presented.
Okay.
I believe that's Ms. McGinnis's motion, wasn't it?
It is.
That's what I thought.
You get that, Jan? Okay,
Thank you, Jan.
so we have a motion and a second to approve the resolution for the comp plan. So I think at this time, all those in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
Any opposed by saying aye? Okay, thank you, HWC, for the good work you put into it.
Thanks.
A lot of people put a lot of good work in it. Thank you. Okay, there isn't any other business, so we'll go to council comments. Jennifer, do you want to? That was good.
Sorry. I'll just reiterate what I just said.
Okay.
Sorry.
Good. Irene?
No, nothing for me tonight. Thank you.
Todd?
No, sir, thank you.
Sean?
Nothing tonight, sir.
Ken?
I made a comment at the Board of Works meeting about how well the festivities were downtown. Thank you to Chip and his team, the police department, the fire department. I mean, every single department and every employee was working seamlessly together, and it showed. So I want to thank each and every one of them. Yeah, nobody got hurt that I know of, or, nothing terrible happened. So that's a success, in my opinion. So thank you.
Tara, do you have anything to add? Lynn?
No, sir.
Chan? Okay, I just want to let the council know, we are working on the budget.
you're good.
We will be planning meetings for the city council soon, And also, if anybody on the city council wants to reach out to any of the department heads and talk how their department's going or about the budget, please feel free to do that. So, yeah, so with that said, I think we need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you.